Those are nice smokes this week. Going for a New World cigar. This is one that I had at the Davidoff event that we did over at Vineyards in Sherborne. It's a very peppery little smoke. It's a bit of an odd shape. In fact, I think I've actually just knocked the label off. Well, that saves me having to worry about peeling that one off later. I might as well take that one off while I talk to you. So yeah, that's my cigar for this evening. Just going to use my cutter as a cigar stand. And whilst I think about it, the rum that I'm having, this is the Westerhall Estate Rums series that they sent me. This is the number 7. I've been reliably informed this is probably one of the best ones to go with a cigar. There's lots of caramel notes, which should work really well against the black peppery notes of this. And yes, those eagle-eyed amongst you have spotted that I'm actually using a Zippo lighter this evening. This, believe it or not, was my very first Zippo lighter that I got when I was 15. I used to light cigars with this when it had the original infill. Now it's got a Zippo infill. So it's a single jet lighter when it decides, there we go, when it decides it wants to work. So that's what I'm going to be using this evening. Because it's such a small end on that cigar, it really shouldn't take more than a single jet flame anyway. It's like molasses, burnt sugar. That's interesting. Although I suppose if it's kind of like a caramel note, that probably is to be expected. It's interesting doing it in my old Brookladdy glass because the sense is quite different to what I've been used to with me using the Dynamis glass that I've been using recently. That smell really lovely and sweet and sugary, which, let's face it, it's what you want from a rum. Ooh, it's very light. I'm hoping it's up to the job because I know that's a very strong cigar. Straight off the dry draw there, that's a very earthy. Sort of coffee note. That should be quite interesting. Yeah, looking forward to seeing where this goes. I think if you've not tried this style of cigar before, where you have the tapered end, it's quite an interesting experience because the initial draw is quite tight, but as it begins to open up, you get what the roller intended. It's a very difficult cigar to roll and get right. Definitely worth experiencing it though. I think the worst thing you could possibly do is decide to cut that off there to get it straight away into the opened sort of smoke. I think you're missing the initial intensity of the flavors that it's designed to do to open up as it burns slowly. That probably is a 2-hour smoke, by the way. Maybe an hour and a half for me, but 2 hours for most. There's a bit of a spice to that, which is nice, but I'm not sure they're complementing each other just yet. Maybe when the cigar warms up a little bit more and I'm down to about here, maybe, then it might pick up. At the moment, I think I've actually missed the pairing on this one. I haven't done that in a while. Right, almost into the initial bit where it's actually really beginning to open up now. So there's a lot more smoke, quite a bit more flavour coming through. A lot, and I do mean a lot of black pepper. It's definitely not for someone who doesn't like strong cigars. So if you're not a fan of like Partagas, Bolivars, even some Montes and some Cohibas, then you probably are not going to like this. But if you do like the bigger, bolder cigars, this one's definitely worth picking up. Let's see if it works better now with the run. Now there's a bit more power. That does have a long finish, so it does sit on your tongue and the roof of the mouth quite well. Interesting, the cigar takes away any of the alcohol burn you get from that. So it's just like drinking like a little caramel syrup. Okay. I think that saved it, actually. Now I think they are quite a good pairing. I don't know if I would pair them again, though. It's worked this evening, but I'm used to my pairings working almost straight away. And I have to admit, I genuinely doubted myself for a minute there. Ooh, getting some walnuts through now. Definitely a bit of leather. There's still a little bit of coffee. I don't know if the alcohol's taking the coffee note away, though. That's interesting. It's also very subjective tasting notes. You see tasting notes all the time, and it's like exotic fruit flavors or spicy leather, cinnamon. Cinnamon, actually, in fairness, there is a little bit of cinnamon in that that rum. So some of those notes I get, but there are quite a few when I look at the reviews and go, there is no way you're picking it out. Like, there was one that said kiwi fruit the other day, and I'm thinking, really? Kiwi fruit in a whiskey? No. Best thing to do, like when I say, for example, coffee, because I get coffee a lot, because I drink a lot of coffee, and it's an aroma and a taste that I'm really familiar with. So when I get a hint of that in a cigar, it's like, oh yeah, I can cling on to that because my brain knows what it is. That's what it is. So the more things you try away from, say, a cigar or your whiskey, the more you'll get to make the connection when you say have that whiskey. I think tangerine's quite a good flavor note for a whiskey. A very sweet whiskey normally has a sort of tangerine note to it. So that's quite an easy one to pick up once you experience it more often. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one. Which, let's be honest, is probably a load of bollocks. Very British saying that, and I love it. So, just touching up the mascara line, as they say, making it so it burns a bit more evenly. Now we're getting into that, or past that initial bit. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the cigar, watch the sun go down. I've got a couple of videos I need to edit, including this one. And hopefully you guys have a very good weekend coming up. And I shall catch you on the next video over the weekend. Oh, and by the way, yes, these are Dachshunds on my socks.